Test, test, test. Hey, listen to that. Okay, so for those that aren't here, I accidentally muted the mic. So, apologies. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for challenging the storm and getting here. So, and if you didn't get a chance, there's snacks in the back. Speaking of snacks, I need a volunteer for next week. Not Haley, unless she wants to make cheesecake.
Apparently that's the only thing I'm good for.
No.
No, you make that peanut butter thing too. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That you do.
Snacks?
Not until July. Sorry.
Not till July.
Sorry, Mister. I'm broke.
Mr. Okay, I won't say that. I won't repeat it. July. Okay, so Ashley's tapped out. You want to do it again? Okay, we'll do it again. And then the only other announcement is we're still doing the shoe drive. We are up to 21 shoes of our goal of 30. So at this rate, we will definitely meet our goal and probably surpass it. So that's good. If you haven't donated yet and you would like to, we're still doing it until the end of July. And if you don't feel like doing the shopping yourselves, just write a check to the or cash to the church, and then we'll get it in the right hands, and then we'll do the shopping for you, Emmy. I think that's it for announcements. The only other new thing tonight is hopefully if you guys ever go back and watch it online, or for the people that do watch it online, we do have microphones for these two areas now. So you guys are hopefully going to get picked up when you guys start talking tonight. So when we have our discussion, it won't seem as one-sided as it has been. So thank you, Pastor Ron and Sam, for installing those. And then we got a new light bulb for the projector too. So it'll make music easier on Sunday. Other than that, I think that's it. We'll kick this off with a quick prayer, and then we'll dive into it. All right, bow your heads with me. Father, we come to you tonight in hopes to learn more about what it means to be patient and good. Help us to understand these fruits and to be more like your Son. And in his holy name we pray. Amen. Okay, so tonight's topic is the fruit of patience and goodness. And I'm hoping this will be a good discussion. So, Ashley, name an instance in which you struggle to be patient. And yes, you're not going to be the only one.
One instance.
Just one. Most of my
Well,
childhood.
I'll tell you what I told Jose.
Okay.
I don't think I'm patient. I'm just stubborn.
You don't think you're patient, but you're stubborn. Okay, but what in particular? What about? Is there something that sticks out to you that you lose patience on? And if I need to come back to you, I can come back to you. Does somebody have one?
It's hard to know.
Somebody have one? Emmy, you look like you have one.
I have two.
You have two. Packaging. So opening packages, she loses her patience on.
Yeah, you'll find stuff just randomly in our cupboards all crumpled up because I got
Okay.
rid.
And then what's the other one?
I have a hard time being patient with rude people. I do not like
Okay, I think that one's more universal. So patience with rude people. Okay. Can somebody here offer up a solution to the patience of for the lack of patience with rude people or packaging? And the answer can't be pray about it.
Knives and scissors for the first one. I like.
Say that again?
Keep them all over the.
Say that again.
Knives and scissors.
Oh, I thought you
Knives
meant
and
the
scissors.
second one.
So
Was that
knife
for
and
packaging or for the
Yeah.
people?
hey, our second part of this lesson is goodness.
That was for the packaging.
Hey, our other part of this lesson is goodness. We can't use knives and scissors on rude people. Okay. So keep knives and scissors around to kind of help alleviate that. Okay. Something for rude people?
Sometimes
Sometimes you just have to swallow it. Okay.
I try to tell myself that I don't know what's going on in their life, and maybe they're having a very stressful
Okay.
day, and maybe they need to be rude.
Okay. In the future, if you're the one that offers up the patience, don't offer up the solution.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to get everybody to chime in, even if you know the answer. Okay. Somebody else have something that they struggle with patience-wise? Go ahead, Kristen.
I work with kids.
You work with kids. So not rude people, but crazy people. Okay. All right. So I think that's cheating if you answer, Sam, since you work with kids. Is somebody that doesn't necessarily work with kids have a solution for
Wait for them to grow up.
wait for them to grow up? So your solution for lack of patience is to have more patience?
Yeah, see?
I don't know. To be honest with that, most of the time, I'm very quickly to be more patient and forgive those that are ignorant. So like when I know it's a child, like I can find myself going, okay, they don't know any better. Let's use this as a teachable moment.
Oh, good. We
It's
covered
usually-
stupid people too.
It's usually their parents. I get into arguments.
Like, what is it when people act like they can't? Is it weaponized incompetence or something like
Yes.
that, where people pretend like they can't do it because they don't want to do it? I come up across that, especially at work, a lot. And
Those are just lazy people.
it's just really easy to be like, oh, fine, I'll do it, but then you got too much to do.
So,
You can't get
big
everything done.
semis drive by. Big semi.
Okay. Somebody else have a patience that they struggle with? Did you think of one finally?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, stupid people
No.
or lazy people.
Yes.
Okay.
The people who pretend
Okay.
to be competent.
Anybody else? Anybody else have a patience that they struggle with? Go ahead.
Bad drivers.
Bad drivers. Oh man, that's a good one. That's actually on my list of ones that we're going to talk about.
Alan, some people are trying really hard and they're sorry.
I appreciate they're sorry, but they're
I love how she automatically just assumed that you're talking about her. And okay,
In Texans, it's called a blinker.
hey, I use a
Every
blinker.
truck
I do
in
use
a car
the
housing.
Okay. So we'll go back to the. I want to remember the driver one because I have a specific one for driving that we're going to talk about that happens regularly. So I'm gonna save yours if that's okay. Anybody else?
I mean, I could do this all day.
You could do this all day. Okay. You have one?
Yeah,
What?
putting things away when you use them.
Are you inching away from your granddaughter?
Yeah.
Yeah. She said putting things away after you use them. So.
Hold up, she doesn't always follow her own rules either.
Oh.
So,
She called
not always.
Yeah. Okay. So she's saying that if you'd be more patient, she'll eventually get to it. Is what I hear.
I want to still be alive.
Oh.
Okay.
You knew that was coming. Okay.
Mine's timing.
Timing of what?
Any kind of scenario. If I think it should be done in a certain time and it doesn't, then my patience gets tested.
See, that's what I'm like.
Yeah.
Good. We're gonna come back to that one too, because that's the second to last one that I have. Okay. If nobody else has any that they want to offer up, I have a list, and I would like to collectively as a group try to figure out how we would address that situation. Everybody good? All right. Someone cuts you off in traffic. How would so first, is handling that, is it easy or difficult? So on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being easy, 5 being difficult, when someone cuts you off in traffic to the point where, not that, someone pulls in front of you, but to the point where you have to slam on your brakes and it alters how you're driving, is that, from a patient's perspective, is that easy to overcome or is it difficult to overcome?
Well, it's like a 3.5 because.
A 3.5, okay.
People.
Getting it going.
It's dangerous.
Alan, I'm guessing it's 3 or a 4 for you too, probably?
Yeah, it depends on
How
what
bad?
kind of mood I'm in that day.
Ah, okay, there we go.
It's a five, sometimes
My
it's a
question
four.
was, is that before or after you flipped them off?
What does that mean?
Huh?
That was good. Okay. So someone cuts you off in traffic. 3, 4, or depending on the mood that you're in. So if you're in a bad mood, it might be a 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, I'm like 0 on the scale. That
Me
is-
too.
Did-
That is
oh,
bad.
okay.
Not true.
Usually people that say that are usually the ones cutting people off. No? Okay, just want to make sure. I know you don't, so. But it doesn't bother you.
It's not that it doesn't bother
Yeah.
me, but it's just kind of like, okay,
It's not something that
I'll get
aggravates.
there,
But is it
right?
something
Like,
that aggravates you?
No.
Okay. Is it something that aggravates you? No? Okay, that's good. All right, so for them, it's 0, 1s. What I know it bothers you
So,
because we've talked about it before.
so to me, it really depends on if I'm alone or if my family's in the car.
Yeah, okay.
Because if I'm alone, maybe a 1 or 2. But when the family's in the car, it's about 4 or 5 because they put my family in jeopardy and they potentially caused an accident, which is going to hurt my
Okay.
family or my kids. And then I find myself becoming a lot more like
Angry?
defensive.
Yeah.
So somebody cutting me off probably doesn't upset me that much, but I know I was taking the girls to school one morning and somebody decided to run the light and almost T-boned us on June's side. And I was livid. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just instantly livid out of fear.
So, since we have varying degrees of patience there on the cutting off in traffic, but collectively it sounds like it's one that tends to irk people, minus Haley. How do you guys combat it?
I pray that they get there safely.
You pray that they get there safely? Okay. I have an answer. I'm surprised Sam hasn't blurted it out yet. What are some other ways of dealing with it? Nothing? You can drive like me. Right? So I just assume that everybody's in a bigger hurry than I am, and I just let everybody pass me naturally because I'm not the guy to speed.
It's always 10 miles under the speed limit.
It's not 10 miles under the
10
speed limit.
miles
It's
under
not
the speed
10. But so, I anticipate and I just expect everybody to be crazier than me. And so what I try to do is I try to hang back and just let everybody, and I'm not driving 10 miles under the speed limit, but so that's usually, I don't usually drive under the speed limit. It's usually the speed limit, and then everybody else is going 10, 15 over. But,
I'm slowly developing that after driving for 5 decades. I'm finally starting
Yeah.
to develop that.
I just tell people I drive like a grandpa, right? And just, I know I have enough time to get where I'm going because I left early enough and I'm not in a huge hurry. I don't need to speed to get there. And everybody and their brother's going to drive reckless. And what I'm going to do is just do more defensive driving. And then that way, and then I have the expectation that they're going to be nuts. So that way it doesn't necessarily bother me. Now, do I still get bothered sometimes? Sure, because there's the people that we're talking about and, that are, your typical cutting off. And then there's your maniacs that are sitting there passing 8 cars on a single lane road. And you're just like, oh my gosh, you're going to kill everybody, and whatnot. Okay. Our next one, getting away from traffic. You spill a drink on yourself. Is that an easy one to get over, or is that a hard one to get over?
Well, you can't go to Walmart, but besides that, you
Sure you can.
get right.
Have you seen?
You can't. You can't go. Okay, so in our,
Okay,
in our family, if you drop something on you, like
Oh.
if you're at your food or your drink, then we're like, you can't go to Walmart.
I'm going to make it easier for you. You're on your way to work, and you spill. Do you drink coffee?
I do drink coffee.
You spill coffee on your blouse.
Well, it doesn't. I'm messy, so I don't think anyone would think too much about it.
So it doesn't bother you?
Much expect to be wearing something.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wore a white shirt.
I'm not even going to ask.
Like,
I know my family.
To me, for me, I'd be more annoyed than
Okay.
impatient.
But is-
I don't know if they're related to each other.
Okay, but is that irritation? Is that you losing your patience?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I'd just be like, oh, come on, and then
All right.
figure it out and go on.
Remember that. Okay. Anybody else? We can move past that one. That one's a little bit easy one. All right. Let me kind of shift this way. Sam, you want to listen to this one. You are late for church, and your children can't find their shoes.
I was going to ask if kids were going to be on here.
You guys have to relate to that one.
It's a solid 4.
Out of 4.
Higher for him. What about you? Does that bother you? Or do you expect it?
I expect it.
Okay, so you don't lose your patience whenever your kids can't find what they need in order to get out the door?
We know where Juliet's are. They're all outside and they're all wet.
So we don't have the issue. So the funny thing is the one time we don't really have this problem is Sunday mornings. But anytime we're doing anything else or going anywhere else and I'm trying to get out the door, somebody other than me is leaving something behind. It's just like, okay, we got to go back in. Come on, and whatnot. But do I lose my patience with it? Yeah. Okay. You don't lose your patience, but he does because he wants to get going.
Yeah. Well, when he's ready to go, he's ready to go.
Okay. That's a man.
When we get there, we get there.
That's a man.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Emmy. Your neighbors are having a party and making noise in the middle of the night. Or you have neighbors that are shooting a 249 on full auto.
Not even kidding. Not even kidding.
On full auto.
It's
Do you lose your patience with that?
Yes.
You don't have to justify it, why you lose your patience with it, but do you lose your patience with it? Okay. So is that like a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5?
It's like a 5.
It's a 5.
10,
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It's annoying for me too at certain times. Like if it's during the day, I might be a little annoyed, but okay.
Nope. Middle of the night.
Yeah.
But middle of the night, like okay.
Or let me ask. 4th of July is coming up, right? And I don't know about y'all, but even on 4th of July, I go to bed early.
Yeah, 4th of July midnight is for me. Cut off midnight.
Yeah, but then people don't stop at midnight.
Well, they'll do
So-
it days before and days after,
Yeah.
and I can handle one day with the dog being so upset, but all the other days, I'm
Okay.
like, I know you're having fun, but my dog is so upset. There's nothing I can do about
Okay,
it.
so you're losing your patience. You're what, about a 4?
Yeah, but I think
Okay.
before I had him, it didn't bother me.
'Kay.
But he gets so upset.
All right. How about this one? You are trying to meet a deadline, and a coworker keeps interrupting you. I don't know if that one applies to most people in here. You? That bothers you? You have one that? Well, your coworker is kids, right?
No, not like the other adults.
Okay.
Like it's the last day of school and we're trying
Perfect.
to get everything turned in, and
Yeah.
they're like, once your stuff's turned in, you can leave. And I'm like, cool. And then you got like people that are like, I'm not gonna see you in 2 months. We should chat. And I'm like, text me.
Okay.
You know, like, but no, it's not bad. But I do find myself from time to time going, hold on, let me finish this thought as I'm typing out the end of the email. You know?
Okay. Do you have something to add?
As an engineer, I've experienced that too. I got something complicated I'm doing on the computer, and somebody comes up and asks me a question 5 different times.
Yeah. Okay.
After the 4th time, it's hard to continue to be patient.
Yeah, my job is for people to come in and ask me things, so that doesn't bother me, but they stay. They stay.
Then that's the
And
interruption.
then I had my boss, Coney, told me to go back to your keyboard and just start typing and look at your monitor.
That doesn't stop
I'll
them.
leave. That's not true anymore.
Yeah, that might have been a thing like 10 years ago, but not anymore. Okay.
And so, yeah, you have to go to the bathroom. That's what I found out.
Oh my gosh.
You have to say, I gotta go to the bathroom. Sorry about that.
Mine's not necessarily when turning stuff in by a deadline. It's at lunch when you're trying to eat. People just
At
wanna
lunch when you're trying to
stop
eat and you're
talking.
you're not trying to get bothered. Okay. All right. Where are my grocery shoppers at? We got some grocery shoppers in here. You wait in the 20-minute line to check out, and then you realize you don't have your purse or your wallet. How? Losing your patience?
I've lost my patience by the time I step into the store. So
Ah, there we go. There we go. We're finally getting one for Haley. She's losing her patience just from going to the store.
I don't like going to the grocery store.
Okay. We finally got her. Okay.
How does one leave their wallet? Like,
I don't know.
I checked that like 3 times before I get.
Yeah,
to the door.
yeah.
Yeah.
OCD.
Oh.
Okay.
In fact, it was exactly 3 times.
I don't know if I would tell everybody.
Okay. So now that we've kind of gone through a bunch of these, right, and we've talked about these different exercises of patience, how would we, as a group, define it? What is patience?
Patience is being able to stand it when somebody does something you don't like and you don't lose.
Okay. Does it have to be somebody that something else happens, or can it be something? I mean, does it have to be something that somebody else does?
No.
Okay.
I always think that it's staying calm in the chaos.
Staying calm in the chaos. Okay. That's a good one. Piggyback's yours. Anybody else? Waiting. Okay. Anybody else? Is patience something that we are born with? Or is it something that we have to develop?
There's nobody more impatient than an infant.
Well,
When they want to eat, don't they?
I can think of some people.
Okay, rude. I
In
am
general.
growing. I'm getting better.
okay. We're still talking about patience, but since this lesson is both patience and goodness, how would you guys define goodness? Ooh.
I was thinking of the word grace.
Grace? Okay. It's a good way to kick it off. Anybody else?
I think I could define it.
Say that again. She pointed to Emmy. Thank you for that. That was really sweet. That was a good thing to do. Now. Okay, how do we define goodness? I mean, I know grace is a good way to start, you know, and we can give examples of it, but how do we actually define it?
There's several things to it. I think that like being right and being kind.
Okay.
Usually is all kind of wrapped up in there.
Being
And I
nice
mean in the
to
right.
someone.
You know what I mean? Not being like I'm right, but like
Okay.
in the right. You know.
I'm going to come back to it. I want to ask the second question because I think it'll help us define it easier. Because I'm still missing. I think we're missing some key words in what goodness actually is. So, in y'all's minds, is goodness something you're born with or something you develop?
You develop it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the Bible say?
Children are innocent,
Sure.
and I mean, innocence is good.
Okay. Yes, they are innocent, but
Okay,
but
just
our
because
kids.
we're-
But if we leave kids to their own devices and we don't teach them goodness, will they be good on their own?
No. Probably not.
Okay.
I've met good people who came out of bad situations.
Sure.
So-
but and also, just because we're born with original sin doesn't mean
There we go.
also born with goodness.
So, since the fall, are we born with goodness, or do we have to develop it?
I think it's something that we can have. I think it can be innate. I do.
Okay.
Because I don't think they're complete opposites.
What do you mean?
We're born with original sin.
Sure.
Doesn't mean we're not born with goodness.
We have the capacity
Or
to
the
be good.
potential for
No, we have the okay, but that's not what I'm asking. We always have the potential to be good, but we also have the potential to be bad, right? But are you born good? Or do you have to be taught what good is?
I think you have
And the reason why the reason why we're asking this question instead of finishing defining what good is, right, is because I think other than grace, which I think we need to expand on it, we didn't do a good job of defining what good is. And if we can define what good is, then I think we'll have an easier time deciding that it's not something that we can be born with, right?
How about not doing evil?
Not doing evil. That's a good one.
I think that as much as people are taught goodness, I mean, they're also taught to do bad things.
Sure.
I don't think children are born doing bad things. I think they learn that somewhere.
Sure.
it's a choice, isn't it?
It is once they're. I mean, obviously, if we're not talking about babies that don't have coherent free will, right? And that's why, generally we say they're innocent because they're not choosing to be evil because they don't have a concept of good and evil, right? But once you have coherent free will, you're not automatically good, right? You have to work to be good, right? So I guess this brings me back to my first question. When we define goodness, and we talked about grace, I know you pointed at Emmy, and we talked about it, not doing evil. What's the easiest way that we can express goodness?
By loving each other.
Through acts of love, right? So you can't have goodness without love. And if we remember from our previous lessons, love is not something that's automatic. Love is a choice, right? So if in order for us to be good, we have to choose love, then it's not something that we could inherently be born with, right?
I think so.
Did I challenge your way of thinking on that one?
Change my mind.
Change your mind? I wasn't trying to change your mind, but I'm glad we did. Okay. Well, we had this conversation before. We've talked about, are people inherently good or inherently evil? And she always had the mindset that we're inherently good. And I go, okay, if that was the case, why isn't there more goodness in the world? I think we're inherently evil, and we have to learn to be good because we don't know what good is. And I would argue that the majority of the world still doesn't know what good is because we have our version of good, and then society has their version of good, and they are not the same.
The reason I don't.
It's because you don't think
No,
it's the kid
so
thing.
I
I know.
don't necessarily agree with that because what I don't think that we're inherently evil. I don't think people are born inherently evil. I think that children are born selfish because, that's all they know is what they want. They don't
Sure.
have the capacity to understand what other people want.
Sure,
And
but they have to learn what good
they
is.
have to be taught not to be selfish.
Right.
But I don't think that because they're, inherently selfish, I don't think that makes them inherently evil.
Sure.
There's a huge difference
I
there.
think once free will and decisions start being capable, then they can choose to use that selfishness for
Sure.
evil. Because obviously adults do, right? They're humans, but children are also humans. But
Yeah. I mean, the easy answer is that we're all fallen until we're not.
we're born
Right.
with original sin, but are we born kind of blank slates? There might be an argument for that.
Well, what's he tell Adam?
What does he tell Adam?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
What? So if you remember the punishments, right? Eve got punished for something, and then Adam got punished. And the punishment for Adam wasn't just Adam's punishment; it was his punishment for all his offspring, right?
which one?
What do you mean, which one?
What was the punishment you're talking about?
Well, the fall, right? Original. So
Oh, okay.
it's that punishment's going to follow all of your offspring, right? And thankfully, we have Jesus to absolve us of all that, right?
I think you're my point.
No, am I still good?
Okay.
Yep. Thank you, though. Does that make sense? Because if you go back to the original punishment, there is no
I don't know.
exceptions
I
or
don't
buts
know-
there.
I don't know if I define it exactly the way that you are,
How come?
because I just don't, and I don't want to actually get into it about that because I haven't fully formed an argument yet. Is that okay?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you still want to,
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
that's kind of how I go back to. I go back to what was written
Mm-hmm.
and what was said, right? And if we take that at face value, then the answer becomes a little bit clearer.
Yeah, it's just you
Interpretations.
yes, because
I know.
we are out of his we are out of his presence, which makes us unholy. We were born with original sin. Does that equal evil? I am not sure because I haven't put enough thought into it.
So I'm more black and white. If this makes more sense to you, if I'm not good or choosing good, then I can only be evil. And yes, there are varying degrees of evil. We can all agree on that. Obviously, I'm not like a mass murderer, right? But in the eyes of God, he doesn't care about that. Evil's evil, right? And it's all the same. And that's my black and white approach to it. And I know not everybody necessarily sees it or feels that way.
I think there's, for me right now, what I believe that without putting more study into it is that there's the capacity for neutrality in there somewhere.
Okay.
So,
I don't know if I can get on board with neutrality. I don't think I can. And
for
it's
adults or for how we're born?
How we're born, I think what you're saying is that because we're born with original sin, that we're blank slate isn't the right word. We're neutral until we can make decisions.
Sure.
And then you're saying,
But we still carry that original sin.
Sure. So we know that at some point.
Yeah, there's original sin and then personal sin, right?
Okay. So I think that before you can make conscious decisions, yes, there's probably neutrality.
Yeah,
But I don't
we're
think
saying
that,
exactly.
yeah, I
We're
don't
saying
think once
exactly
you can
the
make decisions
but-
though, I don't think you can be neutral.
Yeah.
I don't think there is.
Because then that.
Because even not making a decision is a decision.
Yes.
Sure. Well, then at that point, then we're talking about tolerance, right?
Sure.
And
And God's intolerant.
he is against sin.
So yeah, I don't think once you can make decisions, I don't
Cool.
think you can be neutral. But I do think
I can
as a
see
child.
that.
The reason why I liked having the conversation, I wasn't trying to necessarily push it, is because our lesson is on goodness, right? And if we collectively can't necessarily agree on what goodness is or where goodness starts, then I think collectively as a church we have to evaluate that, right? Because, if it is choosing love and making the choice to be good, then there is no gray. There's only good and only bad.
I think we as parents
Sure.
need to teach children to be good, because
Oh, absolutely.
let's face it, they're gonna fight and scratch all the time.
Sure. Well, that's why I said if we left them to their own devices and we didn't teach them
We have to
anything,
teach them not to bite their
yeah.
friends.
I think they would inherently. I've witnessed it, with certain things where it's like, where the heck did they learn that behavior? Whenever we're talking about little kids, we're not talking like my kids' ages and whatnot. It's like, if they weren't in daycare, if they weren't really around other kids, where did they learn that behavior? Because if it's not from me, then it's inherent, right? And at that point, it's like, okay, they're just testing the waters, and that's what they do, and we do it. So we see what we can get away with all the time. Okay. All right, now that we've kind of defined goodness, do we all agree on the definition of goodness? That it's expressed through acts of love and it's choosing love to be good? Does everybody agree with that? Anybody have a problem with it? No? Okay. Are they okay back there? I heard them getting loud. All right, so now that we've opened our minds, let's open up the Word. So obviously, every single lesson that we're doing is on Galatians 5:22. I know for several weeks now we've read it. I didn't have you guys reread it, but there are a couple things in there that we're going to talk about real quick. So patience, real quick, we're just going to define what patience and goodness is. So patience, or macrohemia, is also translated forbearance, steadfastness, or endurance. The word denotes the idea of withholding your wrath or your temper and keeping it under control. So it's basically they're separating anger, right? And they're saying the ability to withhold your anger back is patience. Everybody good with that? Okay. Goodness, or agathos, is about actions that express love and positivity towards others. It contributes to the well-being of others, including salvation. We are not good in and of ourselves, but in light of our relationship with God. Express goodness through the power of the Holy Spirit. So did everybody catch that? We're not good on our own. We can't be good by the Bible's or by God's definition of good. The only way that we can be good is with a relationship with Jesus and the Holy Spirit and to God. Everybody agree with that? Yeah. Ashley, you good? Or are you zoning out?
My eye hurts real bad. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. You okay?
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to put a drop in.
All right, so now we move on to Ephesians 4:2-3. So this is one of the new verses. In chapter 4, Paul addresses the issue of unity within the body of Christ. He gives direction on how those in the church are to live and work together, growing together in maturity and unity. He lists being humble, gentle, and patient. Patience is all about being able to understand that people have faults and have failures, and we're to respond to them with Christ-likeness despite their shortcomings. Patience requires love, which is to guide and direct our actions towards others. So in order for us to be patient, we have to practice goodness, right? And then lastly, 2 Thessalonians 1:11, in this opening of Paul's letter to the church, he prays that by God's power, God would fulfill every good purpose and act prompted by faith. The Greek renders it every purpose of goodness and every act of faith. No one can do good by their own power. Therefore, faith, through God's power, is required. God can give them the strength to do the good that they want to do. Goodness is something Christians exhibit because the power of God is working through them. Everybody, does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, I think that people maybe would be confused because there's a clear difference between being good
And being
God
Christ-like.
says, and being kind. Because
Sure.
people who don't believe in God can still be kind. They can be kind people.
Yep.
But they're not good in God's eyes.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's a segue, not for tonight, but tune in next week because we're going to talk about kindness and gentleness. But yes, you are right. There is a difference between goodness and kindness, right?
Right.
I mean, I think the important thing is when we define what love is, love, first and foremost, is God, right? And if God is the representation of what true love really is, even though that word has been, convoluted over time, if love is God and God is love, and in order for us to be good is to love others, then we have to be with God. And that's the only way that you can be good, especially from a Christian's perspective. Does that make sense? Anybody lost? I'm not moving too fast, am I? No? Okay. All right, so now that we've kind of read and understood the different verses that we had to read, why is patience considered a virtue? Why is patience a quality that we're supposed to possess as Christians?
Because we're supposed to be Christ-like.
Because we're supposed to be Christ-like. Okay.
Christ is patient.
And Christ is patient. I mean, he was really patient.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he was so patient, he knew exactly what was going to happen to him and let it happen anyway. I mean, you don't get more patient than that, right? Anybody else have anything to add to that? Or does that about cover it?
But I mean, his mercy is a form of patience.
Okay. Can you elaborate? I know what you mean, but I'd like you to say it.
I mean, people aren't perfect, and we are, due to the fall of man, that natural sin that takes place, it is easy for individuals to fall back into it, and yet mercy still abides. And God's still there, and he's patient to our lives even after we screw up time and time and time again, whether we know it or not. Sounds like I gotta go take care of
No, you're fine. I was pointing at the thermostat for Ashley because I know that one's lower for me.
James, like,
Thank you, Sam. I mean, he's right. Our salvation is always there whether we choose to abide in it or not, right? That love is always there and always present. I mean, that in itself is perfect patience, right? Because he could easily say, right? But he hasn't.
I think we also have to have patience because we're commanded to go and make Christ-like disciples, and if you're going and speaking to a non-believer, if you don't have patience, then
you've already lost.
Then you've lost.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That being said, how does patience bring unity among people? How are you, if you're talking to, especially to a non-believer, how is you practicing that patience going to make that union easier?
I mean, it can bring some understanding by
Okay.
practicing patience.
Okay. Anybody want to help her?
If you weren't patient, you wouldn't be able to talk to them in the first place. You wouldn't want to.
Right. Yeah, you'd lose the desire to want to talk to them, right? Okay. And if we're losing the desire to talk to people or to minister to people, then we're not truly being good and we're not expressing that love that we're supposed to have towards them, right? Okay.
Besides, if you're not patient, then you go off on them.
Yeah.
You're gonna say, I don't wanna be a Christian.
Yeah, you might. I mean, we talked about already losing, but I mean, that's losing the fight before it starts. But then there's also the domino effect there, that if you do lose your patience with them and go off on them, we might actually turn them into an enemy more than somebody who's more neutral. What do you guys think Paul meant by bearing with one another?
Being patient.
Okay, but what's bearing with one another actually mean? Don't just say patient. What's it mean?
Getting along.
Being
Okay.
tolerant of
Yeah.
their differences.
Okay.
Coexist.
Oh, don't say that. That's a bad word in church. Not what she said, but the actual the meaning behind the society coexist. Okay. And the reason why I kind of hit you on it is because patience and bearing with one another can be two separate things. Can they not? Can you bear with somebody but still lose your patience with them? Okay. So how are they connected?
Above my brain. My brain's old, all right.
Your brain is old. All right. Okay.
Fine.
We'll give her a short break.
You'll have to tell me what you want me to know.
So, patience and bearing with another person aren't always the same, right? So how are they connected? And obviously, you can still be impatient with somebody internally, but still put up with them, right? So, for example, you might say, I just got cut off. God bless you. But then you're boiling you're boiling inside. You're like at the point where you may want to flip somebody off, or you may want to curse them and whatnot. You're still losing patience. You're still letting your temper get the best of you, right? So how are those connected? What? You don't know?
No, I do. I think that it's just because you can verbally and physically be patient with somebody and talk to them with patience, if you're angry about it inside and you're harboring that resentment inside, then you're not really loving them the way that we're supposed to love them.
Yeah, you're letting it affect you
Yes.
still, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody disagree with her? Okay. And we've kind of talked about it already, but why is love necessary for true patience? Is it really patience without love? What's the first sentence of 1 Corinthians 13?
Love is patient, kind.
Yes, it continues, but the first three words is love is patient, right?
Well, and for true patience, I think you need love.
Okay. But why is love necessary?
Makes the
makes the world go round.
Well, you wouldn't
Mercy.
want-
We
you wouldn't
talked
want-
about love a
No,
thousand times.
I know, but this is a rehash, right? A refresh. Why is it necessary? You were saying? No, what were you saying?
Me?
Yeah, weren't you saying it?
No.
Oh.
I think love makes us want to be patient.
Yeah.
And it makes us want to do better and work on ourselves more and
That's
be,
what I was trying to say.
yeah, and be a better, more patient, understanding, loving person.
Okay. We talked about this other fruit in previous weeks. How does patience lead to peace?
Yeah, you need to have patience in order.
Well, you can't find inner peace if you're not patient, right?
Yeah.
And so I think the interesting thing, and we'll kind of see this, pattern emerge as we continue to look at the fruits, but all the fruits, you kind of have to have all of them or none of them, right? And
this is a fruit salad type situation,
It-
not
it is.
one by one.
it is a fruit salad
You
situation
don't get to pick out
that
of
you
it.
so delicately put.
I love that.
I do too. Fruit salad. I'm never gonna forget that. I'm gonna be sitting here reading Ephesians and Galatians in the future, and I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, remember that one time I actually said fruit salad to describe the fruits of the spirit?
Fruit
I
salad
can hear you
situation.
talking to the girls. Shut up,
Yeah.
eat your fruit salad.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously we've already defined what goodness is, right? Is being good even possible? Now that we've put goodness up on a pedestal and we've described what it really is as humans, is it possible?
Yes.
I think so.
Because we believe
We're
in
good.
holiness.
Yeah, we're good on
I-
If we don't believe in that that goodness is possible, I feel like it just kind of shoots all kinds of holes in our entire doctrine. So,
Is there anybody that says no?
So I think goodness is possible, but I don't think perfect goodness is possible. And I don't think it's possible for us to be good all the time.
Yeah, because you can't be Christ, but you can be
Right.
Christ-like.
Right.
Okay. Does anybody say no to being if being good is possible? Nobody? Back row? No? You guys all think it's possible? Okay. Man, I didn't get a single nay. Okay. We talked about it when we were talking about 2 Thessalonians. How is goodness prompted by faith? So if you remember, it says you can't have goodness without faith. How come?
Do they go hand in hand?
Yes, but why?
Because that's the way Christ wants us to live.
Sure. What is faith though?
Believe.
Okay. So if we don't believe that goodness exists, can we be good? No. You have to believe that. So your faith has to be steadfast. It has to be pure, and it has to be true and perfect for you to even believe that goodness is possible. Because goodness is being Christ-like, right? And if you can't believe that Christ ever existed to begin with, then you can't be good.
Right.
Okay? Is goodness something we do or something God does through us?
I think a little of both.
Anybody agree or disagree with her?
Because before we even knew Jesus, when I was little,
Sure.
I was a good kid.
You weren't, okay. Can I challenge you on that?
Yeah.
Were you a good kid or were you just not bad?
I was a good kid. I did what my mom said.
Okay.
I did what my dad said.
Okay, but now that we've established a more intolerant definition of what the definition of good is, were you good or were you just not bad?
I wanna think I'm good.
You get what I'm asking.
It's also motivation, like
Motivation,
if
what motivated you?
Like,
Sure.
were you good
school and
because
stuff.
you wanted to be good, or were you good because you didn't want to get in trouble? I think maybe we're
I can tell you, when I was young, I was good because I didn't want to get whooped. You know? So,
You had other circumstances other than being Christ-like.
yes. Because
To
we're
motivate you to be
kids
good.
and,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would argue that most kids aren't, not all, I'm not saying all, but most children are not capable of the type of faith that we have to learn
Right.
to have
Sure.
as adults, right? Because it's a process, you know.
But adult Christians live like that all the time. They're not being good because they
Sure.
are truly being
Yes.
good. They're good because they don't want to go to hell.
Right.
Mm.
Same
Absolutely.
concept.
We talk about
So is
a
that
lot.
good or is that not bad?
It can't
It's
hurt.
not true goodness like we've been
It's
talking
not true
about.
goodness because
It's
it's
not
not. You're not doing it to be like Christ,
You're not
right?
doing it for altruistic reasons.
Yes.
You're doing
Ah,
it to,
there we go.
to avoid punishment.
Motivation.
Yeah, motivation.
But I don't believe I want.
Yeah, I think by our definition of what good is, I don't think I could say I was good because because the definition of good that wouldn't apply, right?
Right.
I might not have been a terrible kid. I might not have been a kid that would go to hell, right? But because I didn't understand the concept of what true goodness is, I can't be good. Okay. Anybody else have anything to add to that? You've been quiet for a while. You okay? Okay. So as we finish opening the word, we're going to open our hearts. So patience is a characteristic of loving actions. Patience is about being long-tempered, forgiving, and understanding. It is about allowing others a second chance. As one has said, when we practice patience, we see others less for what they are now than for what they could be by the grace of God. In a transition to goodness, goodness is about loving actions that contribute to the well-being of others. It is about building up rather than tearing down. We express goodness through the things we say and do. This is accomplished not through our own strength, but by the power of God working in our lives. So, for those that may struggle with patience, which is probably everybody, here are a few steps to help us live patiently in our daily lives. The first one, and there's 6, the first one is take time. Avoid instant reaction. Try counting to 3 or more, or taking a deep breath before responding. Number 2, perspective. Don't let your response be ruled by your emotions. If possible, take a step back and look rationally at the situation. 3, and we hear this one a lot, especially when you're growing up, put on the other shoe. It may be helpful to put yourself in the other person's shoes in order to understand motives, circumstances, and so on. Because in order to understand their actions or speech. So, and then number 4, forgiveness. Being willing to forgive others. You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
That's when I struggle with.
That's when you struggle with?
Yes.
Okay. Forgiveness. Be willing to forgive others. Also, be willing to ask someone to forgive you. 5. This one's pretty straightforward. It's practice. Practicing patience with the little things will help develop patience for the big things. And lastly, and probably the most obvious answer, the Sunday school answer, is God's Spirit. Allow God's presence to fill your life and let His goodness flow through you. Okay? With that, we close this lesson and then we'll move on to prayer concerns. So I've been kind of keeping a running log on our prayer concerns. So I'm going to read through them real quickly. If there's an update that we might not already know and you guys would like to share it, just stop me, and we'll do that. Otherwise, I'll just keep moving on to the next one. I have the Friars patient, so that's a family friend of ours. She's a child psychologist, so she has child patients that she sees all the time. I think one of them was it cancer. One of her patients is dealing with cancer, so we don't know the name of that, because of patient confidentiality, but just pray for that child. And then our neighbors, they have a family friend, Caleb. We've talked about him for a few weeks now. He's had surgery on his cancer. They've taken out about half of it. I think he's still waiting another week or two, right, before he goes in for.
It'll be a couple of months.
Oh, a couple months. All right. It'll be a couple months before he has his other surgery, so just pray for him and his family. The Duncan family, as they continue to fight the good fight in Arizona and try to come here. And then I have your niece Michaela on here, so that's just a continual prayer for her.
I have an update.
Oh, you have an update.
I got a text from my sister today.
Okay.
I think it was today. Let me find it. She said that she got a phone call from a pediatric neurologist, and they were originally going to schedule her for October. That was the earliest they could see her, but they had a cancellation, and now they're going to get to see her in August. So that's an answer to prayer.
Good.
Kayla's been doing, she calls it SIB, self-injurious behavior.
Oh boy.
So the fact that it's been bumped up is really good.
Good. Yep. Hopefully she'll get the help she desperately needs.
Yep. And then I don't know if Emmy told you, but Raylan's ear tube is completely out.
Oh, I was going to get to that. That's like my third to last one.
Yep. She went to the doctor earlier this week, and both of them are out, so no surgery, and just follow up as needed.
And they're anticipating that her ear will be better. Good. All right. So I will skip that one as we get down there.
I told the girls, so I didn't tell you.
I think you told me. I wasn't gonna let her tell it since she's here. And then I've got my sister Lene and her family on here still. I've got your friend Lucy. Keeping prayer for her. I've still got the two patients. I think it's brother and sister of Dr. Lori, and whatnot. So still pray for them. I have Miss Joe on there. She doing okay? Yeah. Not worse.
Not worse. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Pray, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And this one's kind of a sad one, but for a few months now we've been praying for Lloyd's cousin Dale Ingram. He was in a terminal battle with cancer, and he passed away earlier this week. So just keep praying for the Ingram family, and then all the different family that's affected by his loss. I've got Jimmy on here still, Pastor. Is that?
Yeah, no update.
No update there? Okay, so keep praying for Pastor's helper, Jimmy. And then when Ronnie Baker was here a couple Sundays ago, he asked for prayer concerns for his friend Philip. So I have that one on here, skipping Raylan's ear. And then we had one that kind of came up to us earlier today. So our really good friend, Sandy, which is kind of how me and Emmy met, so she's kind of important to us. She was in an altercation last night with a neighbor, and she was assaulted. Got her wrist broken, and we don't know if there's anything else yet. We're still trying to figure everything out, but obviously she's been in the hospital. Her daughter's helping take care of her and whatnot. Obviously she's probably going to go down the road of pressing charges and whatnot, but it was like 1 versus 12. So, and it was pretty chaotic, it sounds like. But just keep Sandy Adams in your prayers, and then, hopefully we'll get more info in the next couple days. And then, does anybody else have any other prayer concerns? Let me get her first. Go ahead.
Mike English.
I'm sorry?
Mike, my son-in-law, he goes,
Oh.
Thursday, 'cause he's got cancer. And, he goes Thursday for a colonoscopy and see if they got, if it's clear or
Wow. Did you say his last name?
English.
not.
English? Okay. You won't believe what I heard.
Now, is this the same cancer that he had before? Is this, okay, he never went into remission, or?
Well,
Oh, okay.
they're, saying the last one, came out clear,
Okay,
but they're having to do another one Thursday.
okay.
Okay. I have added it. Thank you, Miss Linda. We will pray for him and his family. And you, of course. All right. You had one?
Our family friends, in Arizona, their little one was born 3 months ago, and he has been stuck in an NICU
Oh, geez.
since then. And
Family name?
Smith, the Arnold Smith.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
The baby is still not.
Yeah, he's still in the NICU.
Is he getting better at all?
Slowly. I don't know exactly what's going on. I know it has something to do with him not getting enough oxygen, and I don't think his stomach is fully developed yet because they
Jeez.
have a feeding tube.
Is he preemie?
Only a month though.
Wow. Okay, so Smith family. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. You probably didn't hear that, Pastor, but Emmy said pray for Roxy.
She's having a very rough day today. It's the weather.
I keep saying rain, rain, go away, and Leanne keeps saying, don't say that. When it gets hot out, you're gonna wish it.
Yeah, we don't need 7 inches though. All right. Anybody else? Oh, you got another one?
I have 2 more. They're
2 more. Okay.
two different kiddos in my class.
Okay.
One of them fractured her elbow yesterday at the school, so we weren't sure exactly what she did to do it, but, and then I have another one that is constantly angry every day, and we don't know why. So,
I still say something's going on.
yes, I think that's what's happening, but
Okay. I know you probably can't give their names, so I just wrote Kristen students. Okay. Anybody else on prayer concerns? Okay. The last one I have for a prayer concern is just continue to pray for our shoe drives. That way we can, as a church community, continue to help those that need it. And then I know we talked about it last week. Start praying for what we're going to do next. So hopefully the Holy Spirit will start moving somebody to tell us, hey, this is what we need to do. So pray for that as well. Like last week, we have a prayer that I'm going to read. So this one is a prayer of patience, and it's from Psalm 37. So if you would bow your heads with me, I'll read this real quick. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret. It leads only to evil. For those who are evil will be destroyed, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land. In his most gracious name we pray. Amen. Thank you all for being here tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the lesson on patience. Thank you for being patient with me. What's up? A hard one? Okay. Okay. Please be safe driving home, and hopefully it's not raining anymore, but I know there was a little bit of flooding out there, so please drive slow and drive safe, and hope to see you guys all on Sunday.